Good morning. You're listening to a special Facebook Live edition of the BLAINESWORLD show, heard here on WPVM. Ordinarily run Wednesday mornings on WPVM in Asheville, North Carolina, 103.7 on your dial. And this is the BLAINESWORLD show. And as I indicated, it's just a special Facebook Live edition only. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm in my Zoom studio here in Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, what we do is focus on the Asheville theater scene, as well as other good stuff happening in Western North Carolina. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce my guests in the special edition. And they are, let me see if I have it correct, Jack Heine and Mary Ann Heine. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Great. And welcome aboard. They're starting an upcoming show at Hart in Waynesville, North Carolina, Harvey. And what you can do, guys, you can wave to all your fans in Facebook world. So if you're watching, you can see Jack and Mary Ann. And I'm really excited about the fact that you're going to be in this show. But before we talk about the actual show itself, let me ask you folks, you've done acting before, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I know I saw Jack in the Fantastics at Asheville Community Theater. Were you in that, Mary Ann?
Yes, I was. I was one of the mutes.
Okay, that's gotcha as well. But let me ask you both, Mary Ann, what was your very first role you ever did as an actor?
Oh, that was back in 1997. Oh, I had to play this wild, crazy lady, and I'm trying to remember what the name of the show was. But I was only on like for maybe 2 minutes, and it was way at the end of the show.
The Crucible.
The Crucible.
Okay, it was a wild, crazy lady.
Yes.
Let me ask you, in terms of that role, so that was the very first time you'd ever acted?
Yes.
What got you into acting?
Well, when we moved from Minnesota to Michigan, one of our children had a really hard time adjusting. And I found this theater arts center that welcomed children to come in. And I found my daughter really got relief from that, and her anxiety was much reduced. And we went to one of the shows, and my husband, Jack, pushed me one time and said, I think you want to be on stage. And I said, yeah, I do, but I've never really done this before. And so they had some acting classes, and I took a class and I auditioned, and from there, the rest is history.
So that got you into acting. Jack, I'll ask the same question. What was the very first time you ever acted?
Oh, it was a very small role in Annie, the musical. I was one of the cabinet members, and that was very accidental. I was in the stage crew for that show, and at some point in the rehearsal process, the director called me up on stage. I'd been sitting in the chairs watching and taking notes to prepare for being stage crew. And the director called me up on stage, and he said, we need one more cabinet member. Would you be willing to do that? And I said, yeah, I suppose. So I did. So I was one of the cabinet members in Annie, and had a couple of other small roles after that. But mostly my work in Michigan was stage crew and building sets. So my appearance in front of the curtain has been a lot less than Mary Ann's, but that's how it all began.
Now, when you were Annie, I think, Mary Ann, this was unfortunate, that some shows typecast, because I was thinking Jack was going to tell me he was Annie, and that would have been unusual casting. But were you when you were in Annie, was that before Mary Ann had been on stage or after?
No, that was well after. Yeah, she had been in many shows by the time, I finally appeared in front of the curtain.
Because I have this great idea I've shared with Candace and some of the folks at Hart. But what I want to do is everybody to do a fundraiser at Hart where everybody would do their first role. So like when you did Annie, I assume we don't have a video recording of that?
No, we don't.
So wouldn't that be cool if we could have you come in and just do the Annie part and then do it as a fundraiser, so you could pass on to your kids and grandkids, whatever. Everybody would see you in their first role. Same thing too, Mary Ann. I assume we don't have a copy of your first performance?
No, not at all. No.
Okay, but I just thought that would be fun. So you got into acting as adults. And then what, the bug just hit you and you just kind of took off from there, Mary Ann?
Yes, I continued to take some more acting classes, and obviously the more you're on stage, the more you learn. And it just really, I caught the bug, and I loved it. I did as many as 5 shows in 1 year, which was probably a little bit too much when our family was still young. So now, yes, it's just something I enjoy doing. I think it helps me to gain confidence personally, and it just has also been something that is fulfilling. It's wonderful to bring some joy or have audience have some kind of thought and leave with something to talk about after a show. And it's a great way to also meet some wonderful people as well. So
The most amazing thing that I find what actors do is sometimes they'll be in a show and back to back, they'll be doing another show. Have you ever had to do that? Were you in one show and then rehearsing another?
Just one time we had that. Usually up in Michigan, I had them that I'd either have a week in between or a month in between. But here in West Michigan, one time we had it where we had 1 week overlap, I think it
Right.
was.
We were still in production for Miracle on 34th Street,
Right.
the holiday show at Asheville Community Theater, and we had started rehearsals for the Fantastics.
Yes.
So we
Oh.
did have some overlap there.
Because that must be tough. In other words, we were kidding off the air that I have trouble remembering one line, but to have to remember, 2 lines and many lines in 2 different shows. That must be a little tough. Out of the stuff you've done, I'll ask Jack and I'll ask Mary Ann, do you have a favorite role up to before Harvey, we'll say, do you have a favorite role of stuff you've done?
Oh, that's, that it's hard to pinpoint one specific role, but I will say in terms of the acting challenge, it would have been, I played the old Henry character in Fantastics. And that character was about as opposite of the real me as is physically possible. Both what I said, the way I said it, physical actions, and so on. So in terms of pure acting, I would say that was the biggest challenge. So so that stands out. But in terms of just pure satisfaction, personal satisfaction, I would say when we were in Michigan, one of the other few times that I was on stage, Mary Ann and I were in The Sound of Music together. I was Franz, she was Frau Schmidt, and most people don't believe this, but it's true. This is community theater, volunteer, no pay, and this show ran for 28 performances.
Wow.
5 weekends, a Broadway schedule. We were dark on Monday, Tuesday, but every other night we had a show, 2 on Saturday. Anyway, we never tired of that show. 6 weeks of rehearsals, 28 performances, and we never ever tired of it. We just thoroughly enjoyed being together on stage and being with that wonderful family of actors in just a wonderful show, especially at holiday time.
How about the difference between a musical and a dramatic role? Do you have a preference?
Well, I'll say my thing, and then Mary Ann can say hers because she has 10 times more talent than me. But I don't sing or dance, so when I'm in a musical, it has to be a very specific supporting type role. Because honestly, this is not false modesty. It's just the truth. I don't sing and I don't dance.
Mary Ann, the same question: music or drama? What do you prefer?
Oh, musicals are they're wonderful. And when I get cast in a musical, I just feel so blessed because there's so many people so much more talented than what I am. But yes, they are very fulfilling. There's just something about a musical that is fulfilling. But I must say that straight plays also bring a lot, and they each have their own world and their own importance and their own way to get to people. But yeah, to be in a musical for me is a really big thing because I'm not strong in all of those areas. I do have experience in being in musicals, for which I'm grateful for. But I feel probably my stronger suit is probably in a straight play.
What I hate it is when people tell me they don't like musicals, because people don't sing and dance in real life. But I'm saying you don't like maybe bad musicals, but musicals are, just how can you not like Sound of Music, or how can you not like, some Fantastics? It's just such a great show. Let me ask you another question, guys, in that it's kind of cool that you oftentimes perform together. What's it like, Mary Ann, performing together?
Well, we've been fortunate. The times that we have performed together have been really wonderful experiences. It's just a memory that we share, and it is a true blessing. I mean, we, even now being in Harvey together, we just talk about, remember when we did, and it's just a memory that we all of a sudden just say a line or two to each other, that we've been in that show together, or we have this little underlying little jab back and forth between each other, that we say lines and we just know exactly what we're talking about. So it's a connection that brings us together. It's very special. It really, really is. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience that we've had this time together. He's always been backstage. He's always been very supportive of me on stage before he started being on stage. But it's more fun. It's more of an experience that we can share than him being crew and me being on stage. But being on crew also gives another perspective, because being on crew, you see what's all going on backstage. And so sometimes he would say, oh, but you don't know what was just happening during that scene. You looked really calm out there, but boy, it was really chaotic backstage, or vice versa.
Talk about the fact of, they have to memorize dialogue. You were mentioning off the air that you actually run lines together. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny. Some people tell me, other couple I'm friendly with in Western North Carolina, they actually don't like running lines together. You find it helpful?
Yes, very much. For me, especially. Jack Bliss, we both have recorded all of our lines, and sometimes we listen to them with our headsets. But even when we were in Sound of Music, even now, sometimes we'll get in the car. We have about close to an hour drive to get to Hart Theater from where we live. And so I'll just say, okay, let's run lines. And in the car we go, and we run lines. Some are all of the way sometimes. When we're on road trips, we run lines when we're on road trips. So it works.
I always wonder too, though, after the show, do you still remember the lines, or, do you still run the lines after the show?
We certainly don't run the lines after the show.
But do you remember?
We remember little bits and pieces here and there.
Some lines stand out, pretty much forever. So there are some lines in some shows that keep coming up in conversation, or sometimes in the most unexpected places. And people will look at us kind of strange. What's that all about? Well, we know it's funny to us, and whether it's funny to somebody else doesn't really matter.
Well, it's just funny to me. I just listened to this, and let's kind of use that to now talk about your upcoming show, which I guess will, by the time this is aired, it'll be this coming week. It's opening up, and talk a little bit about it. So Harvey now is opening up at Hart Theater in Waynesville, North Carolina. It opens up this Friday night. Is that correct?
Correct. Friday, October 15th. Yes.
Okay, October 15th. And it's going to run for how long?
Just 2 weekends.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 15, 16, 17. And then the following weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Thursday, Friday, Saturday shows are 7:30, and Sunday shows are 2:00.
Now, let me ask you if you can share with us, folks, for the benefit of the people who have not seen Harvey, and it's, of course, a classic film, but there are people out there, especially younger folks, probably never seen Harvey. Can you give me, if you would, kind of a Reader's Digest version of the story?
Sure. You want to start?
You want to start? Well, it's a it's about a family, and Elwood is my brother. I play the role of Vita Louise Simmons and Elwood Dowd. And I have moved back with my daughter, Myrtle May, to live with my brother, Elwood. And Elwood has this unique ability to see someone that other people cannot see. And his name is Harvey. And Harvey is a rabbit. And that causes all different things to happen. So if you imagine someone who is seeing something else, everywhere Elwood goes, Harvey is along with him. And me, as his sister, is not happy to have Harvey around in the house. And I do not want Harvey to stay. So something has to happen with Elwood, because that's the only way I can get rid of Harvey, is to have something happen to Elwood.
Okay.
And do you want to carry on from there?
Yeah, we don't want to give away too much
Sure.
of the show and take away the surprises, but there are a lot of twists and turns in the show. And you know, because of Harvey, my sister wants to institutionalize me. And there's a whole series of events in the show related to trying to institutionalize me and mistakes being made, and the staff in the sanitarium making mistakes and trying to cover up for the mistakes and so on, and some very interesting plot twists and turns, and some very humorous lines, some of which the audience will catch immediately, and some it's going to take a beat, and then they'll say, "Oh, that was really funny." And there is a surprise ending, which I will not describe because then it wouldn't be a surprise.
Well, the show itself, of course, there had been a movie, there had been a show, the whole bit. I assume at some point in time you saw the movie?
No,
Yeah,
I've never.
we have not. No,
I was just
and
going to ask you that.
not to,
Good for you.
Because well, the Vita Louise character in the movie won the Academy Award, and and Jimmy Stewart was Elwood P. Dowd, which is my character. And as actors, we decided not to watch it because we don't want to try to imitate people who are off the charts talented. We have to develop the character in our own way and not look like we're trying to imitate those very famous people.
I give you so much credit, though, because I oftentimes ask that question, if there's been a film version. Do you plan to see the film version after the show?
Probably.
Maybe,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm curious now, because of how well it was done, and these very famous actors. So I'm curious to see it. I am. Because
I could definitely see you. I don't remember Mary Ann's character as well as the Jimmy Stewart character, but I could definitely see him in that role, I love the name Elwood P. Dowd, just a classic.
Yeah. He runs around with these cards. So my husband now has these cards. So he used to have his own business cards, but now he's an Elwood P. Dowd and he has his own business cards.
Did you actually print them up?
I actually did print some cards.
Oh,
I hand out cards in the show, and I wanted it to be realistic, so I did. I actually printed some cards with my name and an address.
Very cool.
An address that's in the show and a phone number that's in the show.
Well, if you can, if we can, give a shout out for some of the other people involved in the show. First of all, we'll start with the director. You're working with Wanda Taylor, is your director for the show. Talk a little bit about the process of working with Wanda, and then we'll throw some other names out there as well. But Wanda's been directing you. How long have you been in rehearsal?
We started the day after Labor Day, so early September. But actually, as part of this shout out to Wanda, it's important for the audience to understand the impact of COVID on this show. We actually auditioned for this show in February of 2020. The show was originally scheduled to be produced in May, June of 2020. Right. And of course, that did not happen because of COVID. Thankfully, Harvey was included in this season, and of course we're going to open this weekend. But all of which to say, Wanda has had to persevere through all of this. Certain cast members have come and gone. Some left because of surgery and illness and so on. So she's had to recast the show several times. So a show is always challenging to find the right actors and so on. And this has been, a challenge times 4 because of the delays and the uncertainty of COVID. So through it all, she's been very patient. She's been very deliberate. She did not want to cut corners. She was very careful in choosing cast members who would not only play their characters well, but also interact well with their fellow actors. Wanda is very clear about not having prima donnas, about self-centered people. She wants the cast to be a close-knit cast, working together, supporting each other. Every role is important. And that's a consistent theme through it all. If anything, Wanda is patient and supportive, to the maximum. So I can't say enough about that.
And you raise another good point, and Mary Ann alluded to as well, that people don't realize how much effort goes into this. They'll come see a show and it'll look like a finished product, but you've been working on it, like you said, even before September.
Yes.
But talk about even what that entails. How many nights or days are you at rehearsals?
We have rehearsals Monday through Thursday from 6:30. It started from 6:30 until 9. Of course, now as we're getting closer to opening, it's 6:30 until however long we need to be there. So you're just ready for that as an actor. That's just normal. But yeah, 6:30 to 9 or later, Monday through Thursday. We did not have any rehearsals on weekends or anything like that. So, but it's really come together. We're ready. We're anxious to get on stage and perform it for people. Everybody has been working extremely hard, and every night we just see, oh, that was just a little bit better, or so-and-so was more into their character, and that's just, it builds on each other. You start with blocking, and then it's off book, and then it's, okay, now you can really add on all the props and all the costumes and everything like
lighting,
that.
Sound, all the technical details,
So
set changes.
it just builds on each other, and it's been really a fun experience.
And Jack, talk about this particular experience in that your role in Harvey is not a small role. I think you were telling me this is the largest role you've ever had.
Yes, by far. It's a very large role by any definition. And for me, yes, the most huge role I've ever had.
And that's a challenge, or has been a challenge?
Oh, it's been a challenge. A lot of memorization, and in the character development. Now. Personality-wise, Elwood happens to be kind of similar to the real me, which has its pros and cons. I don't want it to be a version of me. I still have to develop a character of Elwood P. Dowd, even though he is somewhat similar to me. And there are nuances to his character that Wanda's been very helpful in pointing out in different scenes and different lines. I need to show different aspects of Elwood P. Dowd's character, the way I read the lines, the way I look at other actors in the show.
In real life, do you have a sister?
I do not have a sister. I have one brother. So yes, so I do not bring life experience having a sister to the show.
Well, Mary Ann, do you have a brother?
Yes, I do. One brother.
Okay. Now, will that be a kick? Will he get to see the show?
No, he lives up in Michigan.
And you mentioned too, you have, how many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
Will they get to see the show?
No, they live out of state.
Oh, what a shame. Have they ever seen you perform?
Oh, yes, they have seen us perform before.
When
Yes.
we lived in Michigan,
Yeah.
they did. Mhm.
Okay, great. Okay, so to just wrap up with a couple of final points, to Heart's credit, they've had to deal with COVID. We all have had to deal with COVID. Talk a little bit about, if people come to the show, what do they need to do in terms of COVID restrictions or requirements? Do you know offhand?
Masks are required
Right.
inside. And I think that's all. People should go to the website.
Okay, great.
There is an official COVID statement on the website, hearttheater.org, theater with an R-E at the end. So if in doubt, go there and read the complete COVID statement. But masks are required while indoors for the safety of everyone. Actors and crew were required to be vaccinated in order to be in this show, which in my opinion is a good thing for the safety of all. I don't believe patrons are required to be vaccinated, but check the website just to
Good
be
thing.
sure.
And yeah, and Candace and other folks have done a great job spelling out everything at the website. And
Just
so-
check the website.
Okay, and we'll ask you one more time. So the show itself is Harvey. Encourage folks to see it. It runs starting what dates again? Jeff?
Friday, October 15 is opening night.
Okay, and
then
running
it
through.
does 2 weekends.
2 weekends.
Okay, and again, and it'll be on the main stage
Yes, on the main
Okay,
stage.
which is great.
Yeah,
and the
which-
website once more.
Heart, H-A-R-T, not heart like the heart, Heart, H-A-R-T, theater, R-E at the end of theater.org.
Okay, and again, get tickets there, all the other information. Final question for you folks. After Harvey is done, we'll give you, Mary Ann, the 1 week break. Do you have any plans upcoming in terms of other shows or other things you want to do in theater?
We don't have any other show that is looming. Obviously, we're keeping our eyes and ears to the ground for any other shows that we are interested in and that are age appropriate for us to audition for. But no, we don't have anything upcoming.
No,
But
theaters are reopening, but there's still, somewhat limited opportunities. And so, we'll just be watching. And of course, everything is subject to audition. So, there's never a sure thing in theater.
And as we mentioned earlier, I'll look to see if Annie is ever done because you'll get your big chance there, Jack. Maybe not to be typecast, be a little different. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for being my guests on the special Facebook Live edition of Blaine's World. And we certainly look forward to seeing you this coming week in Harvey. I think people are in for a treat. So thanks again, guys.
Thank
you. Thank you for having us.
Great. And if you just stay with me, I'm going to end the recording.